Here we go. I'm coming to y'all live today from the Black Eagle studio, where I am streaming this morning because I just hosted Urban View Mornings. And you know what? I hate how, let me see. Oh, there we go. So when y'all see me pause for a minute, it's because Instagram takes a minute to catch up before I can actually move to the next thing. All right, we're gonna jump right into this thing. So today is today's news. You're watching today's news with Omi, and I'm gonna run down today's news topics because that's what I'm doing. Now I committed to doing this for a month. I don't even know where I'm at now, actually. I think I started on July 20 something. So I committed to doing this for a month, news every day, just running down the news topics. And today was one of those days where I hosted the Sirius XM show live, Urban View Mornings on Tuesdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. And I just finished the show. Here's the thing though, the show was so hype that I didn't get to give out all of the news. Actually, I didn't even really get to cover news topics at all because like we had so many people calling in. It was a really great, amazing show. All right. So here we go. Today's news, 7:30:24. If you ever miss any moment of the news, you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel at The Omi Show, and the news will be there for you to go back and look. All right, here we go. Old and quite weird. Democrats finally discover new effective attack, and Republicans hate it. In recent weeks, Democrats have increasingly been calling Republicans weird, and the label may start to be grading on them. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, currently being vetted as potential running mate for VP Harris, effectively called Democrats messaging in a series of appearances over the last 2 weeks, calling Trump and JD Vance weird multiple times. Recently, surrogates for VP Harris have amplified the message as the election enters a 100-day countdown. In essence, Democrats are increasingly calling bullshit on the whole charade of taking a reality star seriously for the better part of a decade. This past weekend, former Republican presidential candidate Vivek, I cannot pronounce that, Ramaswamy, I'm so sorry, Vivek Ramaswamy, complained about the name calling, saying it's a dumb and juvenile, and that it saying it is dumb and juvenile, and that it is a presidential election, not a high school prom queen contest. I mean, I can't tell because they call each other names back and forth, and it's so annoying. Biden unveils a plan for major change to the Supreme Court. I did report on this yesterday, but if you missed it, I am giving it back to y'all. President Joe Biden delivered a speech at the LBJ Presidential Library on Monday where he described his proposal for changes in the U.S. Supreme Court. He is pushing for proposal limits, saying Congress should pass legislation establishing a system where the sitting president would appoint a justice every 2 years to spend 18 years on the service on the court. He also wants a code of ethics for justices that will require justices to disclose gifts, refrain from public political activity, and recuse themselves from cases in which they or their spouses have conflicts of interest. Biden also called on Congress to pass a constitutional amendment reversing the Supreme Court's recent landmark immunity ruling. Um, yeah, I don't know if y'all saw this, but Cardi B drags Candace Owens over comments about Sonya Massey. I did report on this yesterday as well, but if you missed it, last week Candace Owens defended the deputy who killed Sonya Massey, saying the shooting was simply a mistake. Owens said police officers are human beings, and there are mistakes that happen. And then try to paint it like try to paint it like, don't try to make it seem like this is Black Americans. This is just a police officer making a mistake. What Cardi B came for her and said, girl, that's ridiculous. Okay. Clearly it must be because she Black, because they didn't tell her family that she was shot by a cop. And there's more on that. White Dudes for Harris. I don't know if y'all saw the news, but White Dudes for Harris raised more than $4 million. Another mass fundraising cause to support Vice President Kamala Harris raised more than $4 million on Monday night. The event was called White Dudes for Harris and featured a deep list of Harris of Harris backers, including multiple names being floated as contenders to be her running mate. Director J.J. Abrams, actor Jeff Bridges also participated. The organizer of the event, Ross Morales Raqueto, said that a white guy fundraiser was necessary. We know the silent majority of white men are not MAGA supporters, he said, adding that we created this place to listen. One of the things that I think is really interesting about that comment in terms of looking at like the White Dudes for Harris call, I don't know that any of the other places, and I'm not giving them any kudos or level up or any of that. I'm acknowledging that all these calls have been great. but I didn't I don't know that they any of the other calls are about listening. A lot of the calls have been about people talking. Good morning, Auntie. So a lot of the calls have been about people talking, not about people listening. So it was interesting to hear the white man, white dudes for Harris is what it's called, is saying that they created a call to listen. They raised $4 million. Interesting. Republican Arizona mayor endorses Harris, rebukes Trump, choosing country over party. Republican Mayor John Giles of Mesa, Arizona, endorsed VP Kamala Harris on Monday, calling on Arizona Republicans to join me in choosing country over party in this election, and to vote against Donald Trump. In the endorsement, Giles said Arizona leaders like John McCain and Senator Mark Kelly have embodied the commitment to country over party, and it's that same high caliber of character and leadership I see in Vice President Harris. He also praised federal infrastructure funds appropriated to Mesa under President Joe Biden and Harris as a reason for the vote. For a reason to vote for Vice President Harris, adding that she's the competent, just, and fair leader our country deserves. Mm, 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 mm. What else we got? What else we got? What other news we got? Men's triathlon race postponed to Wednesday due to Seine River pollution levels. The men's triathlon at the Paris Olympics was planned for Tuesday, but had to be postponed due to pollution levels in the Seine River. CNA River. I don't know if I'm saying that right. The race was postponed to Wednesday at 10:45 a.m. immediately after the women's event, which is scheduled for 8 a.m. that day. Organizers previously said that they were confident water quality would improve in time for the race. If levels of bacteria remain too high by Wednesday morning, both the men's and women's races are likely to be postponed to Friday, the Olympics contingency day. If by Friday the water quality is not good enough to swim leg not good enough, the swim leg will be scrapped and the athletes will complete in a duathlon instead. Oh wow. Okay, that's really interesting. So if the water is not well for people to swim in, it's not gonna be a triathlon at the Olympics. It will be a duathlon at the Olympics. Eurosport dropped Olympics commentator Bob Ballard for sexist remark about swimmers. Olympic broadcaster Eurosport has removed Bob Ballard from its commentary team at the Paris 2024 Olympics after he made a sexist remark about Australia's female swimmers. After the women's 4x100 meter freestyle relay team won gold on Saturday evening, Ballard said, "Well, the women just finishing up. You know what women are like, hanging around doing their makeup." What? What? So, oh my God. A statement from the broadcaster said during a segment of Eurosport's coverage last night, commentator Bob Ballard made an inappropriate comment. To that end, he has been removed from my commentary roster, and removing him was effective immediately. That is wild. If you just joining me, a commentator for the Olympics, Bob Ballard, made a sexist remark about swimmers. He said that about the Australia female swimmers. He said after the women's 4x100 meter freestyle relay team won gold on Saturday, he said, "Well, the women just finishing up. You know what women are like, hanging around doing their makeup." Like, you thought it was funny? You thought you said something? You thought you said something there? That's why you got dismissed. Okay. Black Greek members respond to Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity's move to ban transgender people. During this month's Constitutional Convention for the Divine Nine, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated delegates proposed changing its constitution to restrict membership to any male identified as a human being naturally born male who remains and continually identifies as male. So let me read that correctly. Alpha Phi Alpha's rule is that you can be any male defined as a human being naturally born male who remains and continually identifies as male. If the proposal advances, Alpha would become the second Black fraternity to institute a trans ban, following Phi Beta Sigma fraternity in 2017. The National Black Justice Coalition, a leading civil rights organization, and LGBTQIA plus empowerment organizations released a statement condemning Alpha's actions, saying these fraternities are turning their backs on the very principles of brotherhood and inclusivity they were founded upon. Many queer members call out Alpha Phi Alpha for discriminating against trans members who have already paid their dues. According to the NAACP, Black fraternities and sororities were created in direct response to racism and discrimination during the early 1900s. Alpha was the first fraternity founded in 1906, founded by AKA in 1908. I don't know if y'all saw this, but this is a little crazy. The New York judge who threatened to shoot black teens during a profane rant at a party should be removed, a commission says. New York State judge who engaged in a prolonged offensive rant after a fight at a high school graduation party should be removed from office, a judicial watchdog panel ruled. In 2022, the state Supreme Court Justice Erin Gall invoked her authority as a judge to try to get uninvited guests arrested, threatened to shoot black teenagers, and bragged that her 18-year-old son had put the smack down on another partygoer. The commission found that Gall, a white Republican who has served as an elected judge in upstate Oneida County since 2012, created at least the appearance that she harbored racial bias, which could undermine public confidence in her integrity. It also said her wide array of misconduct severely undermined public confidence in the judiciary and in her ability to serve as a fair and impartial judge. Gall has continued to serve while her case moves through the courts. After the commission's ruling, she was suspended with pay. Her pay is $232,600 a year. Now, why the other pubs that woman's pay like that? A judge permanently blocks Florida's Stay Woke Act. A federal judge has permanently blocked parts of the Stay Woke Act in Florida, specifically the restrictions placed on race-related issues in the workplace training. The act was one of several bills the Republican in 2022 as a part of his war on woke ideology. It was intended to prevent teachings and mandatory workplace activities that suggest a person is privileged or oppressed based on their race, color, sex, or national origin. The judge found that the law violates free speech under the rights of the First and Fourth Amendments to the U.S. Constitution. Protests erupt in Venezuela as questions grow over the strongman Maduro's victory. Protests broke out in several Venezuelan cities on Monday after authoritarian leader Nicolas Maduro was formally declared a winner by the country's electoral authority in a presidential race marred by accusations of electoral fraud. In the capital, security forces deployed tear gas to disperse a large crowd of protesters. A Venezuelan human rights organization said pro-Maduro armed groups shot at peaceful demonstrators. Street demonstrations in previous years were crushed by the country's military, which has long supported Maduro and his predecessor, the late Hugo Chavez. On Monday night, Maduro said his government knows to confront this situation and defeat those who are violent, claiming without evidence that the majority of the protesters were hate-filled criminals and that their plan was hatched in the U.S. Maduro's government controls almost all state institutions, including the National Electoral Council. The United States and other countries have raised questions about the validity of the result of the election. Melania Trump is releasing a memoir. Yes, y'all got that right. Melania Trump is releasing a memoir. Former First Lady Melania Trump has a memoir coming out this fall called Melania, billed by her office as a powerful and inspiring story of a woman who has carved her own path, overcome adversity, and defined personal excellence. Melania, the book, will be released by Skyhorse Publishing, which also published books by Rudy Giuliani and attorney Alan Dershowitz. Skyhorse has worked with third-party candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and former Trump insider Michael Cohen. It's not clear when the memoir will be released. It will come out. If it will come out before the election. Former Uvalde officers plead not guilty in Texas school shooting case. 2 former Texas police officers have pleaded not guilty in charges related to 2022 shooting at Robb Elementary School, Uvalde, Texas. Adrian Gonzalez entered a plea of not guilty to 29 counts of child endangerment, and Pedro Pete Arredondo waived his right to an arraignment and pleaded not guilty to 10 counts of child endangerment. 19 students and 2 teachers were killed at the elementary school in 2022. Police officers waited for more than an hour outside a classroom where the gunman was holed up with children, including those who made lengthy calls to 911 emergency services, saying they were in the room with the gunman and surrounded by bodies. The next hearing in the case is set for September the 16th. Ooh, child. Terrence Howard claims he's owed 120 million from CAA based on what would have been paid to white counterparts. Terrence Howard is set on pushing forward with a lawsuit against the Creative Artists Agency, saying that the agency prompted him to accept talent fees that were less than what he should have. Howard says he earned 30% to 50% less than what he should have earned per episode while styling on the hit TV series Empire. Howard said that he wasn't entirely certain that that the lowball pay was due to a racial issue. However, he said the white kids on The Big Bang Theory earned 2 million, damn near 3 million an episode. They had no name recognition, no Oscar nominations, none of that. Howard says that he is still waiting to go to court for his claims against CAA. And not so great news. Oh my goodness. Erica Ash dies. Survivor's remorse and Real Husbands of Housewife actor, Real Husbands of Hollywood actor was 46. Actress Erica Ash has died at 46 years old after a long battle with cancer. Ash starred on the Starz dramedy Survivor's Remorse and the BET series Real Husbands of Hollywood and In Contempt, as well as appearing in dozens of other films and TV shows, including Mad TV. In lieu of flowers, the family asked for donations to be made to Ash's name to the Susan G. Komen Cancer Foundation or other breast cancer charities. In a statement, her family said Erica was an amazing woman and talented entertainer who touched countless lives with her sharp wit, humor, and genuine zest for life. Her memory will live eternally in our hearts. I'm sorry to hear that. Jill Biden thanks Flavor Flav for sponsoring the U.S. women's water polo team as they meet at the 2024 Paris Olympics. The duo you didn't know you needed, love you at Flavor Flav, wrote the first lady on X after meeting the Public Enemy rapper at the Summer Olympics. And they have a picture together. I don't know if I can see that. Flavor Flav has a fan in Dr. Jill Biden. The Public Enemy rapper 65 met the First Lady 73 on June 27th at the 2024 Paris Olympics, where he's sponsoring the U.S. women's water polo team. And they shared a sweet moment captured in a video shared on social media. These girls are my girls. They work hard, said Flav of the team after hugging Biden, receiving praise from her and greeting her some of her family members in a clip posted to X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. A new ballot box obstacle. Okay, new ballot box obstacles mapping the states with recent laws that make it harder to vote. In the wake of former President Donald Trump's lies about a stolen election in 2020, many state legislators implemented new laws restricting voter accessibility in key parts of the voting process. Passed in more than half of U.S. states, the laws are often part of sweeping bills that targeted multiple parts of the process, including absentee voting, early voting, and election day voting. They mostly come from Republican-led legislatures. Supporters of the laws say they help improve the integrity of elections, sometimes by standardizing elections and often using a common tagline, hard to cheat. Opponents have accused lawmakers all over the country of disenfranchising voters, especially Democratic-leaning groups, such as voters of color and low-income voters, and they often sue to try to block new laws from going into effect with mixed success. 10 states have passed laws shortening the window to apply for in-mail or absentee votes. Listen up if you're in these states. 10 states. Oh, you may need to look. Okay, here we go. You may need to look them up. 10 states passed laws since 2020 presidential election, shortening the window to apply for absentee or mail-in ballots, creating a new administrative hurdle for voters. These include the swing state of Georgia and the states competitive down to ballot races like New York, New Mexico, Iowa, and Ohio. 5 states shortened the window to deliver mail-in and absentee ballots. 5 states since 2020 have shortened the window to return an absentee or mail-in ballot. These include the swing state of North Carolina and competitive down ballot races such as Iowa and Ohio. 12 states have passed laws impacting in-person voter ID requirements. 15 states have new voter ID requirements since 2020. 12 state legislators passed a new law stiffening in-person voter ID rules. Some of these laws, such as one in Georgia, also affect identification for absentee and mail-in ballots as well. 13 states. Okay, wait, I'm sorry. Another state, North Carolina, saw a 2018 law go into effect thanks to a 2023 court debate. Indiana and South Carolina both implemented laws that only tightened required identification for absentee ballots. 13 states passed laws that expand voter purges or risk of faulty ones. 13 states passed laws expanding voter purges and risking faulty ones. That includes the swing state of Georgia, one where one law would let people file unlimited voter challenges, and a second law codifying new guidelines on those challenges. Other swing states with these types of laws include Arizona and New Hampshire. 8 states passed laws that limit the number, location, or availability of ballot drop boxes. 8 states passed new laws limiting the availability of ballot drop boxes for returning absentee ballots. This includes the swing state of Georgia and North Carolina, along with states with a competitive down ballot race, including Iowa, Ohio, and Florida. Wow. So if you are in any of those, you need to definitely make sure you are paying attention to what it's going to take for you to vote. In other news today, Vice President Kamala Harris will be having a rally down in Atlanta, Georgia, and it's Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, and she'll be joined by Meg Thee Stallion, who will be performing. I think that's an interesting choice when you're in Atlanta with so many people who could be the people who Atlanta artists, but nonetheless, Meg Thee Stallion does bring the hotties out, and so we want the hotties to be voting. Okay. Um, 2 meteor showers will be visible in Kansas City this week, so check that out. SpaceX fires up Starship's spacecraft ahead of the 5th test flight. So hey, look out for that. SpaceX preparing to launch billionaire adventure for the first ever private space walk. Ugh, wow. Ever seen a star explode? Well, very soon you might be able to. So if you're watching, if you have telescopes in your home, there may be 2 stars that are going to explode pretty soon. In tech news, nothing super hype happening. Just yeah, nothing super hype happening. So no, I'm not covering tech news today. But I'll be right back with tech news tomorrow. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you missed anything, oh, by the way, Coco Gauff was she was eliminated. Coco Gauff's Olympic dreams have come to an end. Her round 3 competitor, Croatia's Dana Vekic, defeated Coco Gauff 6-7, 7-6-7 6-2. It's Vekic, not Gauff, who will be continuing on to the quarterfinals for a chance to win an Olympic gold medal. It was looking like Gauff was about to cruise to the next round early on after going up 4-1 in the opening set, but Vekic fought back and forced a tiebreak before eventually going ahead. It was the first time in the tournament that Gauff had dropped a set. There's also some information out there, I don't have it in front of me, that says that there was a call that one of the refs didn't make that also affected Coco Gauff. But we're cheering her on always. You know, she is no less skilled, no less great. And so we're going to be cheering her on. Thanks so much for watching today's news with Omi. If you miss any news ever throughout the week, you can go over to my YouTube at The Omi Show and subscribe there. If you're watching on YouTube right now, hit that subscribe button, okay? I'm at like 700 YouTube subscribers, and I actually want to get to 1,000. So tell a friend to go over and subscribe to at The Omi Show on YouTube. Thank y'all so much for tuning in every day that you do. I appreciate y'all. I will see y'all tomorrow. Thanks.